The US military will be ready for a possible attack on Iran from Saturday, senior national security officials have told President Donald Trump, according to multiple US media reports. Trump has not made a final decision on military action and is discussing the matter with top advisors. The arrival of aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford in the eastern Mediterranean in the coming days will be a key factor in determining the timing of possible strikes, according to US officials. Trump's advisor Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff met with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi for 3 hours in Geneva on Tuesday. Both sides said the talks made progress, but wide gaps remain. White House spokeswoman Karen Leavitt said on Wednesday there were many arguments one can make in favor of a strike against Iran, while stressing Trump prefers diplomacy. Following talks in Geneva, Iran's atomic energy chief said no country can deprive the Islamic Republic of its right to nuclear enrichment.
U.S. President Donald Trump pledged $10 billion of U.S. government funds for his new Board of Peace at its inauguration. The board was first focused on rebuilding Gaza, but has since expanded its scope. Trump did not specify what the money would be used for. The inaugural meeting, which brought together some 24 allies from across the world in Washington, came as tensions have been escalating between the U.S. and Iran.
But every dollar spent is an investment in stability and the hope of new and harmonious. It's a region that's so important, it's so vibrant, it's so incredible. The people are so incredible, but we want to have a harmonious Middle East.
Trump launched the initiative after the U.S., together with Qatar and Egypt, brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in October. The initiative has drawn widespread criticism for its vague nature, including on how it would operate alongside or potentially seek to compete with existing institutions such as the United Nations.
The United Nations will be, I think, is going to be much stronger. The Board of Peace is going to almost be looking over the United Nations and making sure it runs properly.
The Board of Peace also focused on the launch of an international stabilization force. Several countries, including Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, and Albania, pledged to send troops as part of the force.
Georgian politician
Washington could play a key role in ending Russia's war in Ukraine, Georgia's former President Salome Zorabishvili told Euronews. US President Donald Trump could potentially force Russian President Vladimir Putin's hand into a peace agreement, she said.
The uncertainty that Putin is probably experiencing with Trump and Trump's actions is the best ally for forcing him down to a peace agreement. Maybe it's the best time that we have to see Russia having to recognize that somebody is both unpredictable and stronger than he is.
Zorabishvili, who served as Georgia's president from 2018 until her disputed departure in December 2024, said Putin is never interested in peace. He has to be brought to peace by constraints. She added the war in Ukraine will end one day, but warned it was important how it comes to an end.
As neighbors of Russia, all the neighbors of Russia know that Russia has been a constant invader, a constant aggressor, and a constant imperialist power that doesn't know where its borders stop.
Respecting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity is essential, she said. The European Commission has called an extraordinary meeting of its oil coordination group to address a growing dispute between Hungary, Slovakia and Ukraine over the Druzhba oil pipeline. It will take place the following Wednesday with the participation of Hungary, Slovakia and Croatia.
We have called an ad hoc oil coordination group to meet and discuss the impact of the supply disruption and possible alternatives to fuel supply.
On Wednesday, Hungary and Slovakia halted diesel supplies to Ukraine after a Russian attack on the pipeline in Ukrainian territory knocked it out of service. Budapest and Bratislava, who both rely heavily on Russian crude oil transported through the pipeline, have accused Kiev of deliberately delaying repairs for political reasons. The Commission sought to distance itself from reports that it was pressing Kiev to expedite repairs to the pipeline.
We are in contact with Ukrainian authorities on the timeline of repairing this pipeline. It is very, very important that this is not misinterpreted to mean that we would be exerting any kind of pressure on Ukraine.
The Commission said both Hungary and Slovakia hold sufficient oil reserves. However, it expressed concern about Ukraine's broader energy situation.
The latest data from the Italian National Institute of Health provides a snapshot of the phenomenon of digital addiction among adolescents. Approximately 100,000 young people between the ages of 15 and 18 are at risk of social media addiction. Meanwhile, according to the Social Warning Association, a digital ethics movement, 77% of Italian adolescents say they're addicted to digital devices. Con I Bambini, which has funded 800 projects throughout Italy on behalf of the government's National Fund to Combat Child Educational Poverty, has been addressing this phenomenon for some time. According to a recent study, educational poverty and relationship difficulties are among the main causes of the problem.
Quasi la maggior parte, oltre il 75% degli adolescenti che vive in condizioni di isolamento e che vive dipendente dai social e dai gaming, dai giochi, ha una relazione distorta, disfunzionale o ha un'assente relazione con i propri genitori.
The debate on how to intervene is international in scope and is being discussed at the level of European institutions, with France and Italy considering a law to ban the use of social media platforms by children under the age of 15. A similar initiative is also underway in Spain.
Il dispositivo legislativo è necessario ma non sufficiente, perché può andare a sicuramente più che controllare, a tutelare e proteggere, ma non basta a cambiare, migliorare la situazione, soprattutto culturale delle nostre famiglie e dei nostri ragazzi. La sfida è educativa, non basta vietare, anzi bisogna puntare non sulla chiusura del digitale, ma sull'apertura alla vita, bisogna riconnettere i ragazzi al territorio.
According to a survey conducted by Con I Bambini, 83% of Italian adults are concerned about teenagers' addiction to the internet, smartphones, and tablets.
Siamo preoccupati però non sappiamo cosa fare perché non si toglie facilmente il telefono, non riusciamo a toglierlo.
Noi giovani ci informiamo, cioè per esempio si leggono molto di meno i giornali, le notizie passano molto attraverso i social, quindi effettivamente io stessa molto spesso uso tanto il telefono. Io credo che ad oggi non possiamo impedire i social perché il mondo sta andando avanti ed è un mondo ipertecnologizzato e bisognerebbe semplicemente insegnare alle nuove generazioni come rapportarci in maniera consapevole. Interverrei sulla prevenzione piuttosto che su, la repressione del fenomeno.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, was arrested on Thursday on suspicion of misconduct in public office during his time as UK trade envoy. A police statement released on Thursday morning did not name the former British royal, but said searches are being carried out at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk, while a man in his 60s remains in police custody. Unmarked police cars were seen earlier on Thursday morning at Sandringham, where he was living since leaving his home in Windsor. After the arrest, King Charles issued a statement voicing his concern over the actions of his brother. He said Buckingham Palace was ready to support the police. New revelations last week appear to show Mountbatten Windsor sent convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein potentially confidential documents during his time as a UK trade envoy. In October, King Charles stripped the former British prince of his royal titles. He also ordered him to vacate his residence near Windsor Castle. The decision followed years of controversy over Mountbatten Windsor's association with Epstein.
The Ukrainian embassy in Berlin falls silent as the trailer for the documentary film Traces plays. The film tells the story of 6 women who survived Russian captivity. They report on torture and sexual violence. The protagonists are also present at the event in Berlin. One of them is Irina. She talks about imprisonment, abuse, and trying to preserve her dignity.
Мабуть, я збирала ці сили багато років, тому що вперше я заговорила мабуть, через 5 років після пережитого, і це не було легко.
The film does not show explicit depictions of violence. Instead, the women return to places from their past, to houses that are partly destroyed, to walls with bullet holes, to devastated gardens. There they tell their stories. Director Alisa Kovalenko deliberately chose this form.
And when I was in Kherson region, it was after the occupation, and I also saw these traces of this war, traces of Russian aggression everywhere. It was like minefields, burning fields, like destroyed houses, but also wounded people. But there are some wounds which were out, like we can see, visible and invisible. And I started to think about how we can build this actually coexistence of these visual traces and invisible traces.
On the sidelines of the Berlinale, several civil society representatives at the embassy are supporting the women's initiative called SEMA, which fights against sexual violence as a weapon of war and supports those affected.
Die Ukrainer heute können ein gutes Beispiel dafür sein, wie Gesellschaft funktioniert, wie Demokratie verteidigt wird und was gerade die europäischen Werte, die zugrunde von unserem Bewusstsein in Europa liegen, was die eigentlich heißen.
Despite the gravity of the reports, there is also a sense of solidarity. The women see their voices as a sword against the violent acts of Russian soldiers.